process begins when a complaint is filed, which is a sign that a situation may be contravening the Official Languages Act. The Office of the Commissioner then proceeds to analyze the admissibility of the complaint. A complaint is admissible if it concerns a federal institution, a contravention of the Act, and a specific situation. If these criteria aren't met, the complaint is deemed not admissible. Even when a complaint is admissible, the Commissioner may exercise discretionary refusal to investigate. This can occur, for example, if the situation is minor, if the complaint is vexatious, or if the complaint wasn't filed within a reasonable timeframe. An admissible complaint moves on to the investigation stage. This stage begins by notifying the federal institution of the Commissioner's intention to investigate. This is called the Notice of Investigation. When the Notice of Investigation is sent, and if the complaint is suitable, the Commissioner may offer the parties the option of resolving the complaint through mediation, in order to find an amicable solution rather than proceed with a formal investigation. The offer of mediation may be declined. In this case, or if mediation isn't appropriate, the file is forwarded to the Office of the Commissioner's investigation team. The offer of mediation may also be accepted. The file then follows the mediation process. When mediation is accepted, it follows a separate path, and the Commissioner doesn't take a position on the outcome of the mediation. If the mediation succeeds, a settlement agreement is signed, and the complaint is closed. The goal of the mediation, to find a mutually acceptable solution to the issues raised in the complaint, has been achieved. If the mediation fails and does not lead to an agreement between the parties, the investigation process resumes. After the notice of intent is sent, the federal institution and the Commissioner may enter into a compliance agreement at any time. The agreement sets out how the contravention of the Act will be rectified. Instead of continuing the investigation, the agreement is an alternative path to compliance, like taking the scenic route. The agreement is then verified. If the terms of the agreement are not met, the Commissioner may choose to turn to the federal court. If the terms of the agreement are met, the process ends because compliance has been achieved. When conducting an investigation, the Office of the Commissioner gathers all of the information necessary to determine whether the complaint is founded and whether the federal institution has complied with the Official Languages Act. Sometimes the federal institution takes corrective measures during the investigation. If these measures result in compliance, the investigation may be closed early. It's like taking a different route to reach the same destination. At the end of the investigation, a report is prepared. Once this step is completed, the Commissioner may also post an investigation summary on the Office of the Commissioner's website and social media platforms. An investigation report presents one of two possible conclusions. If the complaint is unfounded, the investigation is closed. If the complaint is founded, clear, specific, and actionable recommendations are usually made to guide the federal institution in rectifying the contravention. At a predetermined date, the Commissioner or the investigation team will follow up on the recommendations. Two outcomes are possible. If the recommendations have not been implemented or have been only partially implemented, a report establishing that the recommendations have not been implemented is issued. The Commissioner may then also use other measures provided under the Act to ensure compliance. If all of the recommendations have been implemented and evidence has been provided, a report establishing that the recommendations have been implemented is issued. Compliance is then achieved. In some situations, compliance must be achieved through more binding measures, such as when the Commissioner makes an order. A Commissioner's order may be made for a founded complaint at any time after the investigation report has been issued. This moment is depicted here by the aerial surveillance zone. Unlike a recommendation, an order is a mandatory and legally binding measure that compels a federal institution to rectify a contravention of the Official Languages Act. If the federal institution does not comply, the Commissioner may request enforcement through the federal court. If the federal institution rectifies the contravention, compliance is ultimately achieved. The final destination in the complaint process is always, of course, compliance. Here, the recommendations have been implemented, the issues have been resolved, and the federal institution is meeting its obligations under the Official Languages Act.